There's a silent transaction in the mirror each morning. For a fleeting second, you see someone unburdened by expectation, the raw you. Then a switch flips. The expression subtly changes. The posture straightens. The mask is fitted. You are assembling the character you'll play for the day. The competent professional, the cheerful friend, the patient parent. This persona isn't a lie, not exactly. It's a carefully crafted interface, designed for navigating the theater of social life. But as you turn away, a quiet question lingers. Is the person walking out the door the real you, or just the role you've been cast to play? This performance is a universal human experience. It's the forced smile for a neighbor you find irritating. It's the enthusiastic nod in a meeting for a strategy you believe is flawed. We do it for harmony, for professional survival, for simple social lubrication. It's the feigned interest in a tedious story from a friend, or the polite laughter at a superior's unfunny joke. Each of these micro-performances is a carefully chosen brushstroke on the portrait we present to the world. They are not grand deceptions, but small, necessary compromises, a silent agreement we've all made to keep the machinery of society running smoothly. This brings us to the core of our inquiry. Who are you when no one is watching? When the front door clicks shut, the phone is silenced, and the audience of the world has dispersed. Who is the person that emerges in that sacred quiet? The one who rehearses arguments in the shower with perfect replies. The one who indulges in comforts or pursues passions deemed too strange for public view. This is the self that exists for an audience of one, wrestling with fears and nurturing dreams too vulnerable to be exposed. In this private theater, the mask is finally set aside. The only question remaining is, which one is real? This duality isn't a symptom of modern life or the pressures of social media. It's a core aspect of the human condition. Sociologists have a name for it: dramaturgy. The theory posits that social life is a theatrical performance. We have a front stage self, the polished, edited version we present to our audience, and a backstage self, where we can relax, rehearse, and be unvarnished. This isn't hypocrisy. It's a sophisticated survival strategy that has allowed humans to navigate complex social hierarchies for millennia. It's the tool that builds alliances and maintains social cohesion. The mask, therefore, is not a sign of inauthenticity, but a testament to our profound social intelligence. But every performance exacts a toll. What is the psychological cost of constantly managing this divide? Does the mask, worn for too long, begin to fuse with the face beneath? And what do we risk by keeping our most authentic self locked away backstage? This journey we are about to embark on is not an indictment of the masks we wear, but an exploration of them. We will delve into the intricate dance between our public and private identities, the moments the mask slips, and the terrifying, liberating power of choosing to remove it. Because somewhere between the person you pretend to be and the person you truly are lies the answer. That sense of being watched, even in total solitude, isn't a flaw in our design. It is the design. It's the invisible hand that straightens a picture frame in an empty house or makes you practice a facial expression in the mirror. This is the unseen director behind the mask, the architect of our public performance. This presence, this phantom audience, is more than a fleeting thought. It's a permanent resident in the theater of our minds. It holds the script for our socially acceptable selves and whispers stage directions when the curtain falls, ensuring the performance never truly ends. Sociologists call this silent observer the generalized other. It's a concept that gives a name to the abstract pressure we feel. Imagine every expectation from parents, every rule from teachers, every judgment from peers, and every unspoken cultural norm you've ever absorbed. Now merge them into a single, composite entity that lives inside your head. That entity is the generalized other. It is the internalized voice of society, the collective gaze we carry within us. It has no face, but it holds immense authority, acting as our internal compass for what is normal, acceptable, and right. But why does this internal judge wield such power? The answer is etched into our DNA, a relic of a more brutal past. For our ancestors, social acceptance wasn't about popularity. It was a matter of life and death. Being part of the group meant access to food, protection, and a chance to reproduce. Ostracism was a death sentence. Our brains therefore evolved a powerful, non-stop social monitoring system, a deep-seated need to belong that created a hyper-awareness of how others might perceive us. The phantom audience is the ghost of our ancestral tribe, a neurological echo reminding us, do not stray. The raw power of this pressure was laid bare in a series of landmark psychological studies. In the 1950s, Solomon Asch invited subjects to a simple vision test, judge the length of a line. But the true participant was placed in a room of actors, all instructed to unanimously give the same, obviously wrong answer. You can imagine the subject's internal crisis. The evidence of their own eyes screams one thing, while the confident, unified voice of the group declares another. The pressure to abandon reality and conform becomes an almost unbearable, palpable force. The Asch experiments provide a chilling demonstration of our phantom audience, made manifest. Those actors became a physical embodiment of the social pressure we normally only feel internally. The study revealed a staggering truth. A significant number of people will knowingly state a falsehood just to avoid the discomfort of standing out. This proves our fear of social deviation can be powerful enough to override objective reality itself. The phantom audience is not a metaphor. It is a potent psychological force, bending our perception and dictating our actions, ensuring we are always performing for the tribe, forever tethered to its invisible expectations. But what happens when the phantom audience disperses, when the imagined eyes of society fade away, and we are left in true, undeniable solitude? The pressure doesn't simply vanish. It changes form. It condenses from a vague, external crowd into a single, sharp, and intimately familiar voice within our own minds. This is not an imagined spectator. This is a permanent resident, an internal arbiter of right and wrong, forged in the fires of our upbringing. It is the architect of our private morality, the silent enforcer who takes over when the external world looks away. Psychoanalysts gave this entity a name, the superego, but its essence is far more personal than a clinical term. Think of it as a psychological mosaic construction, constructed piece by piece throughout our formative years. Each piece is a memory, an instruction, a value judgment absorbed from our world. It is the echo of a parent's stern warning, the warmth of a teacher's approval, the sting of a peer's ridicule, and the unwritten rules of our culture. This internal judge isn't a single being. It's a complex amalgamation of every authority we have ever revered or feared. The primary function of this internalized judge is profound, to ensure our compliance with the tribe's code, even in total isolation. It is the evolutionary masterstroke that transforms external social control into a self-regulating internal system. This is the mechanism behind the pang of guilt for a transgression no one will ever discover, or the satisfaction from an act of kindness performed in anonymity. The judge is always in session. Its courtroom is the theater of your mind, and its verdicts, guilt, shame, or pride, are delivered instantly, shaping your behavior from the inside out. However, this inner arbiter is not inherently wise or just. Its programming is often outdated, built upon the fears and prejudices of a bygone era or the harsh criticisms of our youth. It can become a relentless tyrant, enforcing a moral code that our conscious, adult mind no longer accepts. This creates a deep internal schism, a silent, grinding conflict between our authentic desires and the archaic dictates of a voice we never chose. This is the genesis of our most private battles, the unseen struggle against the shadow of our own conscience. And so, we arrive at the heart of the matter. This internalized judge is arguably the most powerful force shaping the chasm between our public persona and our private reality. It is the ultimate warden of our solitude, the unseen gatekeeper determining what thoughts are permissible, which impulses are suppressed, and what actions are taken when no one is watching. The critical question, therefore, is no longer just who are you in private, but whose rules are you truly following? Are you governed by your own authentic values? Or are you forever performing for the ghosts of your past? But this internal judge does not rule unopposed. It is a recent usurper to a much older throne. Before we learned to rule, we felt a need. Before we understood shame, we understood desire. Deep beneath the carefully constructed edifice of our conscience lies a primal river of instinct. This is the ID. It doesn't speak in the complex language of morality or social acceptability. It speaks in the universal, guttural tongue of want. It is not a voice we learn, but the very engine we are born with, the raw, chaotic, and untamed energy of life itself. The philosophy of this ancient self is brutally simple. Maximize pleasure, minimize pain, and do it now. This is the pleasure principle, the relentless pursuit of immediate gratification that governs our most basic impulses. The ID has no concept of tomorrow, no understanding of consequences, no capacity for patience. It is the infinite inside us that never learns to wait. While our internal judge weighs the long-term social cost of an action, the ID feels only the immediate pang of hunger, the sting of loneliness, or the overwhelming pull of a momentary craving. It is pure impulse, a biological command demanding satisfaction. And so, the mind becomes a silent battleground. The internalized judge builds walls of guilt and shame to contain this wild force, posting centuries of should and should not. But the ID is a relentless saboteur, whispering temptations through the cracks, promising the immediate relief of indulgence. It is the voice that says, "Just one more. No one will know. You deserve this." Every time you resist a craving, fight procrastination, or hold back a harsh word, you are feeling the friction of this eternal conflict, the tension between the civilized self you've been taught to be and the primal creature you are. This hidden war explains the difference between our public and private selves. When the phantom audience is gone and the judge is distracted by fatigue, the ID's whispers grow louder. The secret action, the guilty pleasure, the decision made at night that feels so alien in the morning. This is not a simple failure of will. It is the outcome of a battle where the ID momentarily triumphed. It is the raw data of our inner world, revealing which force held sway when the guards were down. Our private behavior is the truest record of this ongoing struggle for control. Yet, it would be a mistake to cast this primal force as a villain. The ID is not evil, it is elemental. It is the source of our deepest drives, our passions, and our ferocious will to survive. The desire for pleasure pushes us to seek love, create art, and achieve greatness. The avoidance of pain keeps us safe from harm. The true challenge of a conscious life is not to extinguish this ancient fire, but to learn how to tend it. It is a negotiation, not an execution. Within this silent war between instinct and inhibition, the complex, contradictory thing we call a self is forged. This relentless internal war cannot rage unchecked. A mind perpetually torn between the primal screams of instinct and the rigid dictates of an internalized society would shatter under the strain. There must be a third party, a mediator standing in the chaotic no man's land between these two titans. This is the realm of the conscious negotiator, the entity that must broker peace, or at least a temporary truce, in the silent conflict that defines our existence. This negotiator operates not on pure impulse, nor on blind morality, but on a principle far more grounded and immediate, reality. It is the part of us that must look at the world as it is, not as we wish it to be, and make a choice. It is the executive branch of our personality, the decision-maker tasked with the impossible job of serving two warring masters while navigating the treacherous terrain of the external world. This negotiator is not some foreign diplomat dispatched to the psyche. It is, in the most profound sense, you. It is the I, the sense of self that awakens in the morning and reflects in the mirror. Psychoanalysis calls this the ego. Its primary function is to mediate between the ID's insatiable demands and the superego's often unrealistic moral standards. The ego understands that you cannot simply take what you want, as the ID demands, because society has rules and consequences. But it also understands that you cannot live a life of pure, ascetic denial, as the superego might prefer, because human needs are real and pressing. The ego is the ultimate pragmatist, constantly performing a cost-benefit analysis on our desires, weighing the potential for pleasure against the risk of pain, guilt, or social punishment. Think of it as a constant, fluid negotiation. The ID whispers, "I want that expensive gadget now. I deserve it." The superego retorts, "You cannot afford that. It's irresponsible and materialistic. You should feel ashamed for even wanting it." The ego, the conscious self, steps in to assess the situation. It checks the bank account, considers upcoming bills, and evaluates the genuine utility of the item. It might then forge a compromise. We can't buy it today, but we can create a savings plan and purchase it in 3 months without incurring debt. This solution appeases the ID's desire with a concrete plan for future gratification, while satisfying the superego's need for responsible, principled action. This is the ego's art, finding the path of least resistance through the minefield of our own mind. This is why what you do when you are completely alone is the most unfiltered reflection of your ego's strength and character. With no external judges, the negotiation is purely between your raw desires and your internalized rules. The ego is the sole arbiter. Does it consistently yield to the ID, indulging in behaviors it would never admit to? Or is it crushed by a tyrannical superego, paralyzed by guilt over the smallest of transgressions? A strong, healthy ego can navigate this space with balance. It can allow for pleasure without destructive indulgence, and it can uphold its values without succumbing to crippling self-criticism. Your private actions are the raw data, the final verdict of countless negotiations that reveal who you truly are when the only person you have to answer to is yourself. But this conscious negotiator, this self that we identify as I, is not the absolute master of the house. It may be the one at the helm, steering the ship, but it is not the one who built it, nor the one who controls the deep, powerful currents of the ocean beneath. The ego is the visible tip of the psychological iceberg, the part that operates in the light of consciousness. It makes decisions based on the information it has, but its choices are profoundly, and often invisibly, shaped by the immense, hidden structures of the ID and superego submerged below. And as we will soon discover, there are even older, deeper forces at play, currents that influence the negotiator's every move without it ever knowing why. But what if this negotiation, this delicate act performed by the ego, is influenced by a silent partner? What if, beyond the ID's raw urges and the superego's rigid rules, there exists a more personal darkness? This isn't about universal drives. This is about the parts of you that you've been taught to hate, the aspects of your personality you actively disowned. This is the territory of what Carl Jung called the shadow. It is the repository for everything we cannot face, a hidden twin made of rejected thoughts and shamed desires, forever whispering to our conscious mind from behind a locked door. The shadow is far more sophisticated than the primal ID. While the ID simply screams for gratification, the shadow possesses a human cunning. It is the sum of our unwanted characteristics, the envy we suppressed, the flash of cruel satisfaction at another's misfortune, the ambition we deemed too ruthless. These aren't random impulses. They are integral parts of our potential self, deemed unacceptable by our culture and our own conscious mind. We tried to deny their existence, but they didn't disappear. Instead, they coalesced in the unconscious, forming a powerful complex that operates in the shadows of our awareness, waiting for an opportunity. This is precisely why solitude is so revealing. The external world demands performance. We present a curated version of ourselves, our persona, to gain social acceptance. This constant act keeps the shadow contained. But when the curtains fall, when we are alone with no one to impress, the pressure releases. It is in this private space that the shadow can walk freely. If you've ever felt a hidden side of yourself emerge when you're alone, hit that like button and share in the comments what you believe this shadow represents. In these unguarded moments, we meet the person we spend all day pretending not to be. The shadow's manifestations can be deceptively mundane or profoundly unsettling. It's the person who preaches compassion publicly but scrolls through hateful forums privately. It's the disciplined guru who secretly binges on junk food once the camera is off. It's that surge of genuine pleasure, quickly followed by guilt when a competitor fails. These are not simple failures of willpower. They are the shadow asserting its existence, demanding acknowledgement. It's a compensatory act. The more rigidly we construct our public persona, the more powerful its opposite becomes in the dark, creating a secret life that contradicts the one we show the world. Ultimately, Jung's crucial insight is that the shadow isn't an enemy to be destroyed. It is a fundamental, if uncomfortable, part of our whole being. To deny it is to deny a part of ourselves, leaving us fragmented and incomplete. The things we do when no one is watching are therefore not a simple battle between good and evil. They are a profound dialogue with this disowned self. These private actions are the shadow's language, its way of telling the conscious mind what it has been repressing. To truly understand who you are, you must learn to listen to what your shadow does in private. But these hidden impulses, these manifestations of the shadow, do not emerge from a vacuum. They aren't random glitches in our character, but meticulously scripted echoes from a past we may not consciously remember. What we do when the door is closed is often a performance for an audience of ghosts, the figures and feelings of our formative years. Every private ritual, every inexplicable habit, is a line from a play authored by our earliest experiences with love, fear, and connection. We are unknowingly attempting to resolve the emotional residue of events that shaped the very architecture of our minds. At the core of these scripts lies unresolved trauma. This is an experience so overwhelming it forces the brain into survival mode. The mind might bury the explicit memory, but the emotional charge, the terror, the shame, the helplessness, never disappears. It remains stored as raw, somatic energy within the nervous system. When we are alone, with our conscious defenses down, this latent energy is easily triggered. That sudden, inexplicable anxiety or compulsive need for control is not a random act. It is a deeply ingrained coping mechanism, an attempt to manage the unbearable feelings of a past that, for our brain, is still happening right now. Equally potent are the scripts written by our early attachment patterns. Our bond with primary caregivers creates an internal blueprint for relationships, dictating how we see ourselves and others. If that early environment was one of inconsistent care, we might, in private, endlessly seek reassurance through repetitive behaviors. If it was critical, our solitude might be filled with relentless self-judgment, an echo of a parental voice. These are not conscious choices. They are automated programs, running silently in our psyche, that dictate how we soothe or punish ourselves when no one else is there to do it. This process is embedded in our neurology. The brain is a master of efficiency. It automates what is repeated. When a situation triggers an emotional response repeatedly in childhood, a powerful neural pathway is forged, becoming a default setting. When we are alone, tired, or stressed, our conscious mind has less control, and the brain reverts to this old programming. We find ourselves acting in ways we don't fully understand because the action is not a product of present moment thought. It is a high-speed, automated reflex from a bygone era, a neurological ghost in the machine. Therefore, our actions in solitude are a profound dialogue with our own history. That strange compulsion, that secret indulgence, that sudden wave of sadness, they are the language of a younger self trying to be heard. They are reenactments of unresolved conflicts or pleas for a comfort that was never received. Our private world is not an escape from our past, but the very stage upon which it is most vividly replayed. It is here, in the quiet, that the echoes become the loudest, revealing the unhealed wounds and unmet needs that continue to script our lives from within the shadows. But beyond the echoes of the past or the whispers of the shadow, there's a far more immediate and relentless force at play, a constant hum of psychological friction that dictates our most private moments. It's called cognitive dissonance, the profound mental discomfort experienced when we hold two or more contradictory beliefs, ideas, or values, or when our actions clash with our beliefs. Imagine a set of scales within your mind, constantly seeking equilibrium. Every public declaration, every value we claim to hold, places a weight on one side, but our hidden impulses, our secret desires, our unacknowledged truths, place a weight on the other. The tension created by this imbalance is a powerful, invisible driver of behavior, and what we do when no one is watching is often a desperate attempt to level those scales. This internal conflict is most pronounced in the chasm between our public persona and our private reality. The self we present to the world is a carefully curated construct, an ambassador of our ideals. We are disciplined, we are compassionate, we are rational. But this performance creates an immense psychological debt. The more rigid the public mask, the greater the pressure builds beneath it. So, the staunch advocate for stoic self-control might, in the solitude of their own home, indulge in dramatic emotional outbursts. This isn't merely hypocrisy. It's a subconscious recalibration. The private act serves as a pressure release valve, a necessary rebellion against the tyranny of a self-imposed ideal, momentarily easing the discomfort of living a contradiction. Consider the life coach who preaches a gospel of relentless positivity and productivity. Their online presence is a monument to a perfectly optimized life. Yet in private, they might spend an entire day in a state of aimless lethargy, ignoring their own advice. To an outsider, this is a fraudulent betrayal of their message. But from a psychological standpoint, it's a form of survival. The human mind cannot sustain a state of perfect, unwavering adherence to a demanding ideology. The private failure is not a failure at all. It is the mind's way of reintroducing balance, of acknowledging the part of the self that is tired, imperfect, and simply human, thereby reducing the painful dissonance between the projected ideal and the felt reality. This balancing act isn't always a direct contradiction. Sometimes it's about compensation. A surgeon, who must be detached, analytical, and emotionally sterile in the operating room for hours on end, might privately engage in deeply sentimental activities, writing poetry, caring for fragile plants, or losing themselves in romantic films. This private behavior isn't a rejection of their professional identity, but a necessary supplement to it. It nourishes the parts of their psyche, empathy, vulnerability, emotional expression, that their public role forces them to suppress. By doing so, they reduce the internal conflict between the detached professional and the complete human being, creating a more integrated, albeit compartmentalized, sense of self. Ultimately, what we do in secret can be understood as the currency used to pay off our psychological debts. Every time we act in a way that aligns with our public image, we make a deposit. But every time an inner truth or an external pressure pushes us to deviate, a withdrawal is made, creating a deficit. Our private behaviors are the often unconscious transactions we make to settle this account. They are the hidden economy of the self, a frantic, ongoing effort to prevent a state of psychological bankruptcy. The chaos, the indulgence, the secret sentimentality, these are not aberrations. They are the desperate, necessary arithmetic of keeping our own minds whole. We have journeyed through the labyrinth of the mind, from the echoes of our past to the psychological balancing act of cognitive dissonance. We've seen how these powerful, often invisible forces shape the person we are when no one is watching. But to merely understand these mechanisms is to remain a spectator in our own lives. The true challenge and the ultimate liberation lies in moving from passive analysis to active application. This is where the path to authenticity begins. It is not a path of warfare, of crushing the ID or silencing the superego. Instead, it is a path of radical awareness, a commitment to becoming a compassionate observer of our own internal world, transforming the private self from a source of shame into a source of profound information. The first step on this path is learning to watch without judgment. Imagine yourself as a scientist studying a newly discovered phenomenon, your own private behavior. When the impulse arises to procrastinate, to indulge, to retreat into a familiar but unhelpful pattern, the goal is not to immediately resist it with brute force. The goal is to notice it, to ask, what is happening right now? What am I feeling? What trigger just occurred? This practice of mindful self-observation creates a crucial space between impulse and action. In that space, the automated script begins to lose its power. By simply acknowledging the behavior, I am feeling the urge to scroll endlessly to avoid a difficult task, we strip it of its unconscious authority, making it a choice rather than an inevitability. Once we have established this habit of observation, we can begin the work of identification. We can start to put names to the forces we witness. That relentless inner voice berating you for a minor mistake is the echo of a critical superego. That sudden overwhelming desire for immediate pleasure at the expense of a long-term goal is the raw, primal cry of the ID. And that flash of irrational anger or envy that you quickly suppress, that is a communication from your shadow, revealing a part of yourself you have disowned. By labeling these impulses, we externalize them. They cease to be the entirety of who we are and become what they truly are, distinct psychological components, each with its own agenda, vying for control. They are not the enemy. They are simply parts of the whole that have been operating in darkness. With these parts identified, we can build the bridge to our conscious values. This is the moment of integration. The conscious self, the ego, steps in not as a dictator, but as a mediator. It acknowledges the ID's need for comfort, the superego's desire for safety, and the shadow's hidden truths. Then, it holds these needs up against our chosen values. If you value connection, but observe yourself retreating into isolation when stressed, you can consciously ask, what need is this isolation serving? And how can I meet that need in a way that aligns with my value of connection? Perhaps the answer isn't total isolation, but a quiet conversation with a trusted friend. This isn't about suppressing the impulse. It's about finding a more evolved, more authentic way to satisfy it. This ongoing process is authenticity. It is not a final destination or a perfected state of being. It is the dynamic, moment-to-moment practice of observing our internal landscape, understanding the forces at play, and consciously choosing actions that align with the person we truly want to be. The gap between the public persona and the private self is not a wall to be demolished, but a distance to be traveled with curiosity and self-compassion. Each time we choose awareness over automation, we take another step on that path, slowly but surely integrating the disparate parts of our psyche into a more coherent, honest, and powerful whole. This is how we begin to live not as two separate beings, but as one. And so, we arrive at the final, most crucial reframing. After navigating the hidden corridors of the psyche, we must confront a startling truth. The unwatched self, this entity we've explored, dissected, and perhaps feared, is not a shameful secret to be buried. It is, in its raw and unfiltered state, the most authentic version of you. It is the bedrock upon which your identity is built. We have been taught that character is what we do when others are watching. The deeper reality is that character is what remains when we are absolutely certain no one is. We are conditioned to equate our public persona with our real identity. The curated smile, the professional demeanor, the socially acceptable opinions. We believe this is who we are. But that is a performance. It is a necessary mask, a strategic negotiation for acceptance and survival. The person who emerges when the audience is gone, when the pressures of expectation dissolve, is not a lesser version of you. It is the unfiltered source. Integrity isn't found in a flawless public record, but in the quiet alignment between your hidden thoughts and your unseen actions, when you are the only judge. This is where character is truly defined, not in grand, televised gestures, but in the microscopic, unobserved choices that accumulate over a lifetime. It is the choice to return the extra change, to speak truth when a lie would be easier, to put in the work when no one is there to applaud you. This private arena is the crucible where our values are tested by fire. It is the ultimate litmus test for who we have decided to become, stripped of all external motivation. Your unwatched self doesn't just reflect your character. It actively forges it, moment by silent moment. Embracing this self is therefore not an exercise in condoning our flaws, but an act of profound self-acceptance. It means looking at our private habits, the procrastination, the secret comforts, the strange rituals, not with judgment, but with forensic curiosity. What fundamental need is this behavior trying to meet? What fear is it trying to soothe? This compassionate inquiry is the bridge from being controlled by these hidden forces to consciously integrating them. It is a lifelong dialogue with the deepest parts of our being, a journey not toward an imagined perfection, but toward an authentic and resilient wholeness. Ultimately, the moments you spend alone are not empty time. They are the most potent opportunities for discovery you will ever be given. Your private world is not a prison, but a laboratory for becoming. The greatest project of your life is not to build a flawless facade, but to understand and befriend the person who exists when no one is around. As this exploration of the self concludes, another must begin. The forces that shape us are not only internal. To understand the mind's architecture, we must confront the invisible biases that steer our decisions. To continue that journey, ensure you are subscribed. The next revelation awaits.